Today I'm going to share with you an unboxing for the Complete Kombucha Starter Kit by Masontops. Hi sweet friends, I'm Mary from Mary's Nest, where I teach traditional cooking skills like making bone broth, ferments, sourdough, and more. So if you enjoy learning about those things, consider subscribing to my channel, and don't forget to click on the little notification bell below. That'll let you know every time I upload a new video. Well, many of you have been asking me to show you how to make kombucha, so I thought that I would start this series of videos that I'm going to be doing on kombucha by showing you a product that is a kombucha starter kit. This comes in handy if you don't already have a Scoby. Now, if you can get a Scoby from a friend or you found one, online from someone who's willing to send you one, and so on and so forth, that's great. But if you need to buy one, Masontops, the folks who are famous for their pickle pipes and the fermentation weights, if you do any fermentation, you'd be familiar with them. They have come out with this kombucha starter kit. And I'll unbox it today and I'll show you what's in there. And if you find that this is something that you do want to buy, be sure to check my description below underneath this video because I have a 15% off coupon code for you. So I've liked the other Masontops products that I've used, and so I decided to buy this to give it a try because I was very curious about a Scoby that could be basically dehydrated and put into a box and sold in this fashion. And on the back here it says, it's easier to make kombucha than it is to say it. With this kit, anyone, beginners or experts, can start making kombucha easily at home with just a few household ingredients. After a 30-day activation period, you'll be able to make endless amounts of fresh kombucha weekly and begin experimenting with different flavors and teas. Masontops makes brewing kombucha as easy as possible, providing access to a digital recipe book with step-by-step instructions. So it's interesting. I mean, it definitely seems very accessible to the beginner. And so let's see what's in here. Okay, the first thing is another box. And what this says is, says again, the Complete Kombucha Brew Starter Kit, delicious and healthy probiotic beverage. And it says your brew package includes your Scoby, the black tea, cane sugar, and a thermometer. So that's what they've got in there. And it says organic and non-GMO. So that's nice to know. So as promised, it's exactly what they said. They've got a tea bag in here. They've got the thermometer. That's clever. And this, I get such a kick out of this because it's really very complete. They even give you the little bag of sugar that you're going to need to get things going. And then this is the Scoby, and we'll open it and look at it. But I am just very intrigued. I have never seen a dehydrated Scoby. I've seen them in their regular form once they're hydrated. So this to me is something that's very clever. And the next thing that's in the box is the instructions, and they explain exactly how to use all of this. And I'll go over that in a second, but I just want to show you the remaining parts that are in here. You have a little mesh screen, and I'll take close-up pictures of all of this so that you can see it, but it's a little mesh screen. And then the other thing is a screw top, basically to put on top of a jar, I'm assuming a canning jar. Basically what it says here is that the Masontops kombucha cap, this and this, these two pieces, allows air to flow in and out of the mason jar. So yes, I was correct, we're going to need a mason jar. That's the only thing that's not included in here. Without letting in any contaminants and insects. With Masontops, you can activate healthy Scobies and consistently brew delicious kombucha every time. The Masontops system replaces makeshift DIY solutions, like vinegar-soaked coffee filters that are subject to failure and require continual maintenance. That is interesting. This is clever. And says how to use. To use the Masontops kombucha cap, place the screen on the mouth of a wide mason jar and secure it by screwing on the gray plastic screw band. Let me get a canning jar and we'll go ahead and do that. Well, I've got 2 canning jars here. This is your typical wide mouth quart size, and this is also a wide mouth. This often you'll see people canning asparagus in here. I'm going to just start the Scoby in here because I think that this type of jar is going to be easier to get it in and out, because it'll get a little larger in here and then this opening is a little smaller. Granted, you know, if you've worked with a Scoby, you can kind of just bend it and pull it out, but I'm going to try it in here. So basically what you're going to do is take your little mesh, and you've got your screw, the lid, the screw top, and that's it. I mean, that's a pretty easy system, and you don't have to worry about cloth or coffee filters or anything like that. So very clever. And basically what it says in terms of care instructions is wash and dry. It's also dishwasher safe. That's nice. And basically just to make sure it's completely dry before you actually start using it to make the kombucha. Now, that's everything that's contained in this kit. The instructions for making the kombucha are going to have to be downloaded. We're going to have to go onto the computer and get the step-by-step ebook that will tell us exactly how to go through this process. And I'm going to go ahead and download that ebook before I actually open this Scoby, so we follow the directions exactly as to what they tell us to do with this dehydrated one. Well, I pulled the e-guide up on my phone, and it looks like we're going to also need a half a cup of distilled white vinegar. I've got that right over there. And the other thing we're going to need is 3 cups of boiling water. And I just boiled this in my teapot, so I'm going to measure this out for 3 cups. Well, we're going to have to mix the sugar and the boiling water in a jar that can hold 3 cups. So my smart plan for this jar isn't going to work. So we will go with the traditional quart size of mason jar. And what we'll do is we'll just open the sugar and we'll go ahead and add this to the jar. So in goes our sugar, and now we'll add in our 3 cups of the boiling water. And this is to get the sugar dissolved. I'm just helping this sugar to dissolve. And I just want to mention that when it talks about adding the boiling water, it does say chemical free. And that would make sense, because whenever we do ferments, we always want to use chemical free water, which primarily means water that's not chlorinated or has been allowed to allow the chlorine to evaporate. And next we're going to put in our tea bags. And there's actually 2 tea bags in here. So in they go. I'll help them along with my handy dandy chopstick here that many of you have seen me when I'm stirring and making my homemade vinegars and whatnot. Alrighty, well, what it says to do next is we've got in the sugar, we've got in the water, the sugar dissolved, now we're going to put in our tea bags. And it says to steep this for 12 minutes. So I'll set my timer and we'll steep this for 12 minutes. Well, these have steeped for 12 minutes, and now we want to go ahead and remove the tea bags. Now, they don't have a step in here that says to actually remove the tea bags, but that's what you do want to do. It's implied when they say to steep it for 12 minutes that you're going to be removing the tea bags. So definitely go ahead and take out the tea bags. Now we need to let this cool down between 68 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's where this handy dandy thermometer will come in handy. So I'm just going to let this sit for a while and we'll check it in a bit. Well, I let this cool for a little bit and I tested it with the thermometer, and it's just at about 76 degrees. And I'll take a picture and I'll overlay it so you can see exactly how the thermometer looks and how it lights up in terms of telling you what temperature your tea is at. So now that we've got this at 76 degrees Fahrenheit, that's between the 68 degrees Fahrenheit and the 85 degrees Fahrenheit that they instructed us with. And now it's time to go ahead and add in our half cup of white distilled vinegar. And now we're ready to open this Scoby. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut this and try to loosen this a bit, and then I'm going to go wash my hands really well before I try to take it out of here and put it into the tea, because the last thing we want to do is introduce any unwanted bacteria. Well, my hands are nice and clean, and I just went in here and we'll pull this out. And there you have it. That's the dehydrated Scoby. I'll have my sweet husband take a picture up close so that you can see it. And now all we do is take this and put this right down into our jar. It's very, as you see, it's very flexible. We're just going to get that right in. It's pretty sticky. There you go. It's going to sink down to the bottom. Perfect. Now we're going to take our Masontops little mesh lid and we're going to put that on. And then we're going to take our screw top here and we're just going to secure that. And now all we need to do is put this in a warm place, undisturbed, out of direct sunlight for 30 days to activate the Scoby. And when I say warm place, it's similar to the temperatures we were talking about before, between 68 degrees Fahrenheit and 85 degrees Fahrenheit. So just find a nice warm, undisturbed spot out of direct sunlight and come back to it in 30 days. Now in 30 days, your Scoby will be activated and you'll be ready to make your first batch of kombucha. Now this liquid in here is not going to be kombucha. It's going to be a little too vinegary, but the folks at Masontops recommend that it does make for using as a base for a nice salad dressing, so that's something to consider. Now in future videos, I'll show you how to make kombucha, your first batch of kombucha, with your activated Scoby. And I'll also show you how to do second ferments of kombucha, where you can add different flavorings, whether it's ginger or fruit or whatever the case may be. But in the interim, if you'd like to learn how to make other traditional nutrient-dense foods, be sure to subscribe to my channel and then click on this video over here where I show you how to make kefir or kefir, both in the water version and the milk version. And I'll see you over there in my Texas Hill Country Kitchen. Love and God bless.